Okay, well this is a really important part of the conference, I think, because this is where we give a voice to our members. And we are actually the most important people, I reckon. It's a slight shame that the two consultants have gone, because I always think that it's good if the specialists hear the patient voices as well. But I'm delighted that Donald stayed on, so thank you very much indeed. Okay, the first of our speakers, I was going over the history of the KC group earlier on. The first of our speakers actually opened our very first bank account and then went on to be our very first treasurer, because at that time she was living in London, and then she sadly deserted us and moved up here. But we're delighted to welcome her back. And this is Imogen, and she's going to tell her KC story. So over to Imogen.
Okay, my name is Imogen Beattie, and I've had keratoconus since I was a teenager, so that's 30 years now. My eyesight started to deteriorate when I was 15, and I was diagnosed a few months later. As Anne said, I live in Glasgow, and I previously lived in England. My accent gives it away, including living in London, where I got involved with the keratoconus group, as Anne said. Before that, I hadn't met anyone with keratoconus, so I'm really grateful to Anne for having set up the group. The theme of my talk is how to have keratoconus and still get on with your life. My aim is to be positive and encouraging, especially to youngsters with keratoconus. My experience of keratoconus is that it presents lots of challenges, but it doesn't have to take over your life. So, how does the condition affect me? I wear rigid gas-permeable lenses, and without them the world is a blur and I'm not safe to cross the road. But with both lenses in, I can see down to 2 lines above the bottom of the chart. I am troubled by glare a lot. I put on sunglasses at the slightest hint of the sun coming out, and that does happen in Scotland, despite what was said earlier. In recent times, I've also found it difficult to read text where there is poor colour contrast between the text and the background. For example, if there's pale grey text and there's a white background, I can often fail to see the text at all. I've never seriously considered a graft, though my condition is advanced, and I have to say, the idea of a graft rather scares me. I have good times and bad times with my lenses. In good times, I can wear both my lenses for up to 14 hours a day. But in bad times, I have to limit my wear time, or I wear one lens at a time, or not at all. In good times, I am seen at Gartnavel, which is Gartnavel Hospital, once every 6 months. But in bad times, it might be as much as once a week. At this point, I want to praise Bernie, my optometrist at Gartnavel Hospital, who has been looking after me so well all the 12 years that I've been in Glasgow, and tweaking my prescription to maximise the comfort and vision. My bad times are caused by intolerance to the contact lenses. This tends to happen suddenly and quite unpredictably, though it is more likely to happen in the summer with seasonal allergic conjunctivitis. Lumps form under my eyelids and make my contact lenses very uncomfortable. It can take my eyes a long time to recover when this happens. I take eye drops, Opticrom all year round, and prescription opatanol in the summer. So, back to my theme, how to have keratoconus and to get on with life. I do appreciate that keratoconus affects different people in different ways, and I don't usually talk about myself, but my aim here is to encourage and not sound boastful. So, after being diagnosed with keratoconus, I passed my A-levels, went to university and got my degree, entered my chosen profession, which required working and studying for a professional qualification all at the same time, have travelled for 6 months on my own, married, had a daughter, and I now run my own business. My message is that keratoconus has not stopped me from doing anything that I really wanted to do. Okay, I never wanted to be a train driver, a pilot, or anything that involves sharp and reliable eyesight. Instead, I went for a more glamorous option. I'm an accountant. At no point have I thought, I've got keratoconus, should I do any of these things? Having said that, it has affected the choices that I've made. I have chosen not to rely on being able to drive. I can't reliably commit to having to drive when I'm not sure whether I can wear one or both of my lenses, or whether the glare from the sunlight is going to be too strong. In the past, I've turned down a job that would have required me driving 30 miles down the A1 and M10 every day to get to the job. I have specifically organised my life so that I don't have to drive. I live 5 minutes walk from a train station, and this is deliberate. I have developed ways of dealing with keratoconus. If I'm out for a late night, I take my lenses out for a few hours between day and evening, or alternate them so that I'm not wearing them too long. When I travelled, I took a 6-month supply of solutions with me and had spare contact lenses in both my backpack and my day pack. I reckoned that they were more precious to me than my passport. For work, I use big font sizes and always sit at the front for presentations. As a mother, I don't know what it's like to get up in the night to feed and change a nappy and be able to see what I'm doing. But I managed. Bernie very kindly tested me for glasses before the birth, but they made no difference. I do have worries as a mother. What if my daughter has a rash that I can't see? I've trodden on her toys and even on her own glasses, and I wasn't safe to cut her nails when she was wee. This is something, and to quote, "Daddy does better than Mummy." There are advantages, just a few, to having keratoconus. I'm not too much troubled by housework. I can't see the dust or the cobwebs. And before smoking was banned everywhere, people would stop smoking in my presence, as it obviously made my eyes smart. My experience is not all good though. Keratoconus can be frustrating. I used to do bird watching, but it's now too frustrating as my eyes aren't up to it. Sorry, my eyesight isn't up to it. I was already a shy teenager when my keratoconus started, and it didn't help that I could no longer recognise people in the distance. My working day is limited. I cannot be the typical self-employed person working at home who sits at their desk in their pyjamas early in the morning. I need to have been awake a long time before I can put my lenses in. To conclude, I don't know what my future with keratoconus will be, but I hope that I've been positive and encouraging about living with keratoconus. Thank you.